Neither of these franchises lacks for great names, nor do they lack history. And a renewal of this great rivalry is greeted with some sunshine, raining just a few moments ago, and the sun is now out. The Miami Dolphins have won the toss, and they will defer, which means the Pittsburgh Steelers will get their hands on the football first. Here at Sun Life Stadium, Emmanuel Sanders, number 88, is deep to receive the kick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And ready to kick it away for Miami is Dan Carpenter. And we are underway in South Florida. From the 6-yard line, Sanders lost the football. It's on the ground. Who's got it? Miami. Lex Hilliard looked like he got the first hit, and coming away with the football is Rashad Jones. That's only the second lost fumble by the Steelers this year.
It looked like there was a nice crease there in the beginning, but you can see the shoulder pad just knocks the ball loose, and it gets away from his body, and Sanders, the rookie, makes the mistake. That's when you got to clutch that ball to your rib cage, and it gets away from his body. He's holding it a little loosely, and the pop knocks it out. What a break for Miami to get this thing started.
From the 22-yard line, Ronnie Brown. Little or no gain on the play. Chad Henne is in his third NFL season. Is he rounding into NFL quality? His coach sure thinks so. He's been especially good passing on third down this year. Pick up a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and 9 from the 21. Once again, Ronnie Brown and Lou Polite behind Henne. Play fake, pulls it down twice. Henne on the move and threw it away. Lots of pressure on the Miami offensive line in the face of a big Steeler pass rush. Pat McQuiston at right guard for rookie John Jerry. Brandon Marshall leads the Dolphins with 37 catches for 467 yards, but only 1 touchdown so far.
Well, that last play, the Dolphins went with a play fake, and the only receiver that released was Brandon Marshall. Everyone else was in to protect. That's why Henne had so long. But when you only have a 1-receiver pattern, if he's not open, dead play.
3rd and 9. Under the gun, he had to get rid of it in a hurry, and Ronnie Brown wasn't looking. Lamar Woodley was in on Henne, and that'll bring the field goal unit on.
Well, that's Ronnie Brown's read. When his linebacker to that side comes on the blitz, he immediately has to look for the football. That's a hot read, and Ronnie Brown doesn't pay any attention to it at all. And he just releases, and Chad Henne's he's waiting for Brown to break off his pattern, and he just didn't do it. That's a real lack of recognition by Ronnie Brown, a veteran player.
Carpenter's season long is 53 yards. This one from 39. And it's good. Emmanuel Sanders fumbles. Carpenter converts the field goal. And with 14:02 to play here in the first, Miami grabs a 3-0 lead on the Steelers. On the play clock about 55 seconds ago, Emmanuel Sanders took the kickoff and coughed it up. Mike Tomlin has him back again at his own goal line. This one, he will not run out of the end zone, and Pittsburgh will start from its own 20-yard line, and here comes Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger making his second start of this season, a winner in his comeback last week against Cleveland. 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception.
And Greg, you'd agree with me, wouldn't you, that talking to Ben yesterday, that's as excited as I have ever seen him and appreciative of what it really means to be a player in the NFL, and glad to be back.
Admitted how anxious he was having to sit on the sideline for that first month of the season. All his own fault, of course. Mendenhall in the backfield behind Roethlisberger. Mendenhall with the handoff. Maybe a yard to the 21. on a huge offensive line. Second-year man Doug Legursky replaces Trey Essex at right guard. Essex misses his 4th game with a sprained left ankle. The backs and the receivers, and it's the ground game that's been carrying these Steelers. Rashad Mendenhall showing the way with 495 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. There's Legursky at right guard on 2nd and 9.
A petite 315 pounds. On that Steeler offensive line, that's small.
Roethlisberger, pump fake, throwing across the field, just off the fingertips of Mike Wallace, the speedster.
And Ben realizes that was oh so close to being a big play, which is what Mike Wallace specializes in. You see him coming across the field out of the slot, but that should have been a completion. And right there, it almost looked like Mike Wallace could have laid out for it, at least extended himself at the last second. Yes, Ben let him just a shade too far, but heck, lay out for that thing.
3rd and 9. Roethlisberger under pressure, trying to get rid of it. Dolphin falls on the ball. Let's see what they call it.
Oh, Gene Steratore rules it a fumble. Ben is going to make the case that I was trying to pass it.
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by Miami. First down.
Koamisi, the rookie, recovered it.
Well, there is no question that Ben, in his mind, was attempting to make a forward pass, but executing it is a different thing. He's getting tied up right here by Wake, and he does not get it away. He wanted to, he lost the handle, and again, he's trying, but he's got his arms pinned, and at that last moment when he tried to shove it forward, his hand missed the football. Great ruling, that was a fumble.
No challenge from the Steelers, and Henne gives to Ricky Williams. And Williams is buried at about the 14 by Brian McFadden.
Boy, and here are the Miami Dolphins that only had 5 takeaways in 5 games coming into this game, and today they've already got 2 takeaways.
Dan, in that one play, did you not see the problem that all teams have with Ben Roethlisberger, as big as he is at quarterback in the pocket?
Yes, he won't go down. In that sense, though, that ended up hurting Pittsburgh. Would have been a lot better if he'd have just gone straight to the ground.
On 2nd and 10, Ricky Williams again. To the 5. Troy Polamalu with the tackle.
Well, hammering away at the right side behind Fasano, behind Vernon Carey. There's his fullback, Lusaka Polite, out front, and that is a huge hole, especially against the Steelers. And the Steelers, again, so difficult to run against, leading the league in a stingy run defense.
3rd and 2. Ricky Williams. Forward progress stopped at about the 5. It'll be 4th and 2.
Well, you come back attacking the same gap. This time Lamar Woodley is there, and he is squared up in the hole. And that was the end of that. So again, a field goal attempt for the Miami Dolphins, and Mike Tomlin realizes this is the best I could have possibly hoped for his Steelers to force them into 2 field goal attempts.
Carpenter from 23 yards out. And it's good. Tony Sperano says we'll take that too. Ben Roethlisberger will give it another shot. It's 6-0 Miami.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. E-Trade. And by Toyota.
Back at Sun Life Stadium in Miami. Emmanuel Sanders deep once again for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the 3rd time he's received a kickoff here in the first 3 minutes 45 seconds of this game. Sanders from the 3. And it will be stopped short of the 20-yard line. Everybody's been watching James Harrison. What's he doing today, you might ask? He's back at work.
Yeah, nobody's been under more scrutiny than this guy. There's Harrison coming in there on the top left of your screen. Watch him try to knock the ball away from Ricky Williams, but he swings in there, and you know that's why you see a ball carrier. They work so hard on keeping that ball clutched into their body, because once you're stood up, then everybody goes for the football instead of the tackle. A myriad of reactions to James Harrison. Praise from teammates and vilified by a lot of other people.
From the 19-yard line. Roethlisberger pulls it down, throws over the middle, and that's complete to the tight end, Heath Miller, and that's a first down out to about the 33-yard line. On the Dolphins' 3-4 front, Paul Soliai moves up to start in the middle as Starks slides outside to replace injured Jared Odrick. The Miami linebacking core is formidable. Cameron Wake comes off a 3-sack performance in the win at Green Bay. A year ago, the Dolphins' leading interceptor had 4. Jason Allen on the corner has 3 already this season. First down by either team here today. From the 33, it's Mendenhall. Hit hard at the 35, falls forward to about the 37. And Carlos Dansby. What a season he has had in his first year here in Miami already.
He's a free agent pickup. He had a wonderful career that everybody followed with the Arizona Cardinals, and he has just come right in here, not afraid to assert himself, a leader, a captain, and he has been more than the Miami Dolphins could have even dreamed of getting. He has been the complete package.
3 tight ends on 2nd and 6 for Pittsburgh, and the give is to Mendenhall across the 40 to about the 41.
Well, and there's another look at Dansby, how he can take on a block and at the same time not give up too much ground. Watch it right here. Marquise Pouncey, the center, is going to come out. He gets his hands on him, but look how he stays square. And again, when he makes that hit, did you see how Mendenhall just came to an abrupt halt? That was good pad level, squared up, and drove through the ball carrier.
3rd and 2. They'll give it to Isaac Redmond, and Redmond is stacked up at the line of scrimmage short of a first down. Jeremiah Bell, the leading tackler for these Dolphins, led the charge.
Well, that is totally committing to run defense when your strong safety is making a tackle in the backfield. He's going to come knifing right in the B gap, and no one from the Steelers able to account for him. Jeremiah Bell, a yard off the line of scrimmage, big play.
Daniel Sepulveda kicks it away to Devon Best. Fair catch called for and made at the 15-yard line. And that is where Chad Henne and the Miami offense will take over when we come back. Hey, tomorrow here on CBS, how do you solve a murder when an old flame becomes the prime suspect? See why Hawaii Five-0 is TV's #1 news show. Tomorrow, only CBS. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, Sun Life Stadium, 8:41 to play. Here in the first quarter, 6-0, Miami. Miami with a 6-point lead and 9 total yards on offense. And on first down, Henne will look and throw, and that one is complete across the 20 to about the 22-yard line to the tight end, Anthony Fasano.
Well, these two teams met in the final weekend of the season last year, and it was not a good day to be a Miami quarterback. Lamar Woodley gets Henne. This one right here drove Henne from the game with vision problems. It was a tough day, and then Pat White comes in. He gets knocked completely out on that hit, and Tyler Thigpen had to end up finishing the game for the Dolphins.
Pat White was knocked completely into a baseball career.
Yes, he was.
That last pass was ruled incomplete after the fact, and Aaron Smith now with the stop of Ronnie Brown.
Aaron Smith has been such a good football player for so long here on this old defensive line for the Steelers. All these guys are over 30 years old.
I'm going to tell them you said that.
Well, when every guy on your defensive line, with the exception of Ziggy Hood, is over 30, that's you just don't see that in this era where teams are trying to get younger.
Mike Tomlin was lamenting the fact, he said, even my backups are old.
Old but productive. That's the key word.
3rd and 12. Henny on the move. All kinds of time. And now running out of time and threw it away. Terrific coverage in the secondary by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I think it's one of the things where Chad Henne is maturing. He told us that, I've made mistakes where I thought my big arm could get that ball into tight coverage. And that is smart football in your own end of the field, backed inside your own 15-yard line. You don't make a silly mistake. This is a very good defense. Sometimes they just win. They cover all your guys. Try it again later.
Antoine Randall L. is deep for the punt. From his 22. Not going to recover from the first hit. From the 19-yard line, Roethlisberger and company will get started when we come back in just a moment. 6-0 Dolphins.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Hey, Tuesday, she had a beautiful mind, but it's her body language that will solve this case. Don't miss TV's #1 drama, NCIS, Tuesday, only CBS. Along the sideline, Dan, a new face for the Miami Dolphins coaching staff.
That's Darren Rizzi, the special teams coordinator now, after Tony Sperano made the move to relieve John Bonamego of his duties.
Foul on the previous
And that
play.
was,
Although the foul occurred during the kick, the end of the run was a spot that was at the least advantage for the receiving team. Therefore, the foul would have been assessed from the end of the run. It was half the distance to the goal. First down, Pittsburgh.
well, after a tremendous punt, 66 yards, tack a penalty on top of it. And how's this for a change of field position? Miami goes from being inside their own 15 to putting Pittsburgh back inside their own 10 on a punt.
That's a career-long punt for Brandon Fields. First down from their own 9 now. Quick pass to the far side. That one is complete to Hines Ward, and Ward across the 10 to about the 13-yard line.
Well, the old bubble screen where you just try to get it to the hands of a guy that can do something after he catches it, and Hines Ward, after 13 years in the league, still is Hines Ward.
Can do it.
Whatever it takes, he will do. If it's catching the ball, if it's running after the catch, if it's blocking downfield, if it's being a leader. In the old days, we'd say he does everything but drive the bus, and I'm sure he could do that as well.
2nd and 7. This is Mweldy Moore. Moore, left side, spinning across the 15. We have a penalty marker, 2-3 markers down.
A major holding call going to go against Pittsburgh here, right at the point of attack.
Holding, offense, number 64, half the distance to the goal. Replay.
That's Doug
second
Legursky,
down.
who's filling in at right guard today for Trey Essex.
Yeah, well, he pulls from his right guard spot and gets around the edge, and then trying to set that edge has a major hold. Legursky right there. He's got Cameron Wake tied up. And look, he spins him all the way around. I'm sorry, but when you make the guy you're blocking do a 360,
You may have been guilty of an infraction.
the chances of a flag go up greatly.
Exponentially. 2nd and 13. Roethlisberger, pump fake. Pulls it down and releases out here to Moore. Moore out of bounds short of the 15-yard line. Heavens to Murgatroyd. James Brown in for a second straight Sunday. JB in New York.
Heavens to Murgatroyd is right, Greg Gumbel. Take a look at Buffalo's Ryan Fitzpatrick hooking up 33 yards, Greg, with that touchdown pass to the veteran Lee Evans. That capped a 6-play, 72-yard strike. Buffalo on top of Baltimore, 7-3. Greg feeling better. Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
Thank you, JB. You know those Buffalo Bills are going to win sometime. You just wonder against who.
It's not every day we go back to New York for a Ryan Fitzpatrick update.
It's true. 3rd and 7. Once again, Moore. And Moore brought down at the 19-yard line. That's very close to a first down. Carlos Dansby making the stop.
And Ben had to get up and shake some of the South Florida grass off of him.
So we'll get a measurement for the first down.
It was good work by Miami. Good pressure on Roethlisberger. He was good coverage. He was forced to go to his check down. And then a good tackle downfield. Now we're going to see if Moore got close enough to move the chains.
Yes, he did. And not by much.
Well, again, Ben doing what he can to try to, just move a little bit, but he moves right into the pressure. But it was a good job of knowing where his outlet was and a good spot by the officials. That was good work by everybody. That was just well done on both sides of the football. Just executed well enough to barely move the chain.
You see the lack of passing game so far in the Steeler offense. That's likely to change with Roethlisberger back. First down. Moore. Across the 20 to the 23 as we come up on 5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. And Tony Sperano has to like where most of this game has been played so far.
Well, he likes where it's been played, but he can't like the 6-0 lead. When you're that deep in their territory and you settle for field goals instead of touchdowns, how many times have we seen at the end of the game where you lament those red zone opportunities that only resulted in field goals?
Roethlisberger will give it to Moore. Moore breaking free. Running room. 30, 35, out to the 38 or 39-yard line, and that's another Steeler first down. Chris Clemens, the safety, with the tackle.
Oh, and Noel DeMoore makes a cut right back into the Miami corner blitz, and he just ducks underneath the blitz. Watch him cut back right there, and there goes the blitzer on his way by, Benny Sapp. And he was free, but he couldn't make the tackle. That was a nifty move.
So now a little breathing room for Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh offense. From the 39. Across midfield into Miami territory in the 48 to Antoine Randall L. His first reception of the day and another Pittsburgh first down.
Well, here's Ben telling his team to get up to the line of scrimmage. Ben loves this offense. He loves the no huddle. He'd like to use it more. He's jealous of watching guys like Peyton Manning get to do this more often.
This is Mendenhall. Dances his way across the line of scrimmage and inside the 45 to the 44.
Well, you talk to anybody in Pittsburgh about Rashard Mendenhall and the progress that he has shown, and they are just thrilled with the way that he's evolving now here in his third year in the NFL. And again, back to the no huddle.
Steelers in Miami territory for the first time today.
Again, don't confuse no huddle with hurry up.
Roethlisberger hits his tight end. We get a penalty flag in the backfield. And this one looks like it's going to come back.
Holding. Offense, number 64. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, they may talk to Mr. Legursky at halftime. That's the second one on him.
Boy, it sure is. And he's, Mike Tomlin doesn't change a whole lot because of that. He doesn't overreact, but having two holding calls on the same drive, not a good thing.
Coaches don't smile at that, do they?
No, they don't. And again, it's the offensive lineman's plight, Greg. It's about the only way you ever get your name mentioned.
Wayne.
Well, you know, he's in there for Trey Essex, but again, a flag is about the only way you get a highlight.
2nd and 16. And that one bounces off of Hines Ward, and he goes back after it in case that's ruled. And it's ruled an incomplete pass. Once again, JB in New York.
Hey, Greg and Dan, not the way you want to start your homecoming back in Chicago if you're Donovan McNabb. Play action, under pressure, ill-advised pass, batted, picked off by DJ Moore. Moore returns it 54 yards to pay dirt. Chicago on top of Washington 7-0 late in the first. Greg and Dan.
Donovan McNabb from the south side of Chicago. You're right. It's not the way he wants to go home. 3rd and 16. Escapes the rush and throws complete. Inside the 20, inside the 15 to Hines Ward. What a beautiful touch on the ball by Roethlisberger.
Well, and it was after Ben was forced to step up because Cameron Wake coming off the edge got around Flozell Adams. And again, we see Ben Roethlisberger with his legs creating. And that's exactly what he did there. Bought time. And then at the end of it, delivered a beautiful touch pass.
43-yard pickup, first down, Steelers at the Miami 11.
But made because of the athleticism of Roethlisberger.
Mendenhall inside the 10 to about the 7.
That is so demoralizing for a defense to flush the quarterback. You got him on the move. More often than not, bad things happen when the quarterback has to move. Watch it right here. Ben wants to set, but he's got to get up there. He's got to run. He evades a rush, and then falling backward, he's able to deliver this accurate of a ball to Hines Ward. Sorry, everybody. Not everybody could do that.
Last 3 games, 9 red zone trips for Pittsburgh, 7 touchdowns. Roethlisberger throws this way to Wallace, who is hit immediately and brought to a stop. Forward progress will be marked at the 7.
Nice work there by Sean Smith, who started all last year at corner. That was a quick force and a sure tackle.
Last half minute of play here in the first quarter.
Pittsburgh doesn't have to run a play at the end of the quarter if they want to just jump to the other
look
end.
like they will either.
They're ahead of the play clock by about a second or two.
Hey, the guys in the other end zone are ecstatic as we run out of time here in the first quarter. That's the end of 1 with the score. Miami 6, Pittsburgh nothing. And we're coming back to Sun Life Stadium in Miami. After this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. As we're back to start the second quarter, a look at those numbers shows you how useless some numbers can be. The only significant number there are the 2 Pittsburgh turnovers.
And significant they are. And again, don't want to belabor the point, but the Pittsburgh defense held Miami to 2 field goals. It could be a 14-0 game if Tony Sparano had his way.
12th play of this drive, and Pittsburgh can get a first down without getting a touchdown. It's 3rd and 6 from the 7. Roethlisberger, quick slant to Miller, and Miller is going to be short of the first down. Just inside the 5-yard line, and that'll bring the field goal unit out.
And Chris Clemens, the free safety there with a good, sure tackle. He has been one of the real pleasant surprises for the Dolphins this year, again on this new defense of theirs. But that's a free safety going against a big guy in Heath Miller, who outweighs him by a good 50 pounds. But again, a lot of youth in this Miami secondary and a lot of talent.
Jeff Reed has missed his last 2 field goals. This one from 22 yards out. And he doesn't miss that one. That's right down the middle. 14 minutes, 14 seconds to play in the first half. Steelers are on the board. 6-3 Miami. James Harrison and the rest of the Steeler defense looking on, waiting their turn at the end of an 8-minute, 18-second Pittsburgh drive, their longest of the year. Results in a field goal. Nolan Carroll is deep for Miami. And the wind is blowing the ball off the tee.
I guess it's a South Florida day where we're having a little mix of everything. Half an hour before kickoff, it was a deluge. Then the sun came out. It is a breezy day, though. That's going to be the constant. The wind is supposed to be pretty steady all afternoon.
Dan Deerdorf, our staff meteorologist.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Low kick, bouncing, rolling to the 9. And this is Carroll. Ooh, hit hard at the 20, and he falls forward to the 21-yard line. While we have a moment, you can build your own football dynasty and compete year-round with CBSSports.com franchise football. Find out more at CBSSports.com/franchise.
Well, after a week last week in Green Bay where Brandon Marshall had 7 receptions in the first half and finished with 10 overall, Chad Henne right now would just like to complete a pass to anybody. He's 0 for 4 and hasn't even tried to go to Marshall yet, but he'll take anybody for completion right now.
Looks both ways, pulls it down, throws over the middle. Nice pass across the middle with the 35 to the 36-yard line, and there's Brandon Marshall's first catch of the day.
Well, credit the offensive line with that one because that was superior pass protection. Chad Henne had a long time to look at this, and Brandon Marshall, again, just nothing fancy, but watch this pocket. 4-man rush for the Steelers, and Henne is able to stand, pump, and finally deliver. That is a rare luxury to have that long.
Here's Ricky Williams to about the 38-yard line. One of the things that Tony Sperano talked about Chad Henne improving on were those second and third reads and the throws off of those reads.
Well, he said last year it was pretty much going to the primary read, and maybe occasionally he might get down to number 2, but you know, now, like anyone who's been in it for over a year, Chad is becoming much more comfortable. He's working himself into the second, the third, and even sometimes the check down that might be the 4th read. But he got help there from his line.
Quick pass to the outside. That's Hartline. And Hartline lost the ball. Picked up by the Steelers. James Ferrier. Hartline coughed it up. Ferrier was there to grab it in midair, and the Steelers get it in good field position.
Well, Brian Hartline just trying to make something happen by working his way upfield, but against 2 big guys there. There's James, Woodley with the hit, and then Brian McFadden from the outside, and he just gets caught in that sandwich between the 2, and Ferrier is just going, thank you very much. It just pops right into his hands.
More takeaways than anybody else in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they now have the ball first down at the Miami 34. Mendenhall to about the 30.
Well, as the sun now comes out and shines brightly, going back to the meteorology here, Tony Sperano, this is what he was looking for. He wanted the Steelers to be in their black jerseys. He wanted this sun to be out. He wanted it to be 90. It could not have been hot enough to suit him because he thinks in the second half that that's going to be an advantage for the Dolphins.
It's because of all of those really small people on that offensive line of the Steelers. On 2nd and 6, this is Mendenhall again. First down yardage and then some. Inside the 25, spinning his way to the 21, and a Pittsburgh first down. Channing Crowder with the tackle.
Well, if anybody from Pittsburgh is going to get tired so far, it's going to be their offense because they have been on the field a long time. And, conversely, this Miami defense is having to work hard. And, an arm tackle there isn't going to get Mendenhall as he breezes right through that one right there. The nice little spin, and then, boy, look how he finished with power, putting it on Jason Allen.
Hartline coughed it up. Steelers trying to take advantage. Roethlisberger going to the end zone is just off the fingertips of Max Faith, number 89, the tight end.
Well, Ben had to go high with this football because that guy, Carlos Dansby, had the underneath coverage. And anything low is going to get picked off. So Ben knows he's got to elevate this thing over the top of Dansby, and he just put it up a little too high. That's one of those deals. Yeah, he knew he barely missed, but give a lot of credit to Carlos Dansby. His coverage forced that throw. And Hartline's going, please, 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 do that again.
2nd and 10. Roethlisberger this side of the field, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Mike Wallace. And by the way, it's worth noting, Mike Wallace, and now we have a man down on the ground. It's a Steeler.
Is that Flozell Adams? I can't.
That is Flozell Adams. We'll take a break. We'll check on Flozell Adams, the 13-year veteran. Be right back.
Welcome back to South Florida, everybody. There's Flozell Adams right there. Watch his left ankle as Randy Starks is going to get blocked in and fall on. Oh, right there. You saw that thing flex in. Flozell walked off on his own, but very slowly and very gingerly. That ankle is really sore.
Jonathan Scott replaces him at right tackle. 3rd and 10. Under pressure. That one is complete to the near side. Hines Ward breaks free to the 5. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
How many times have you just seen Hines Ward make something happen on sheer grit and determination and mental toughness? Now this is tough. This is going to be a one-on-one situation. Benny Sapp just overshoots his mark. He goes high and Hines Ward goes low. Watch him duck the tackle right there. Benny Sapp not able to get back low, and Hines Ward again just sniffs it out and finds the end zone.
And Hines Ward continues to move up the charts on total touchdowns all time in Pittsburgh Steeler history. The extra point is good. 11-11 to play. Here in the first half, the Steelers grab the lead, 10-6. Ben Roethlisberger says, another touchdown pass for me.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by TD Ameritrade. ExxonMobil, taking on the world's toughest energy challenges. And by New York Life Insurance Company.
And how's that for scenery? The new NFL.com mobile apps have arrived. No matter where you are, you can track scores, set fantasy lineups, and get highlights of your team's big plays. Go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more.
Well, Miami, they're only able to get 2 field goals out of a pair of Pittsburgh turnovers, and then Pittsburgh, they make the most of their one takeaway as they end up with a touchdown out of it. That's the difference in this game. Again, back to Miami in the first 2 minutes of the game, just having to settle for a couple field goals.
And Miami's offense has been horrendous in 12 offensive plays, 26 yards, and just 1 first down.
And again, an illustration of how the wind is kind of blustery down there on the floor of the field. But again, the Miami Dolphins with a grand total of 26 yards offensively. And you know, Brian Hartline, he'd like to make something happen here to atone.
Nolan Carroll is deep. From the 5. Running room to the outside, trying to turn the corner across the 25 to about the 27-yard line.
Well, for those of you that might have joined us late, this game got started off with a turnover on the opening kickoff by Sanders, recovered by Dolphins and kicked a field goal. Then Roethlisberger in an attempt to pass it, fumbles it. That's another turnover. Then Brian Hartline with the big hit. James Ferrier with the recovery. And then, of course, it's this play by Hines Ward. If this was a movie, it'd be called 3 turnovers and a missed tackle.
Pass to the near side, and that is Hartline. So Hartline gets a chance to hold on to the ball. And we are at 10:50 to play here in the first half.
Well, we've got the one reception by Brandon Marshall. And it's just, you can't overstate what a huge part of the Dolphins offense that he is. And if Pittsburgh is successful in removing him from this offensive attack today, Miami is really going to be handcuffed.
Chad Henne throws it outside. That's complete. Devon Bess run out of bounds. First down, close to midfield.
Well, good work here by Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator, because he runs Marshall deep, taking the Pittsburgh coverage with him, and then let Devon Bess, who works so well underneath, come in and take that void. Brandon Marshall is another 10 yards down the field. Hartline's down the field. It's Devon Bess. He's been rewarded with a nice contract here in Miami, but what an effective receiver. Well, he's moved way beyond effective. He is a guy you got a game plan against.
On first down, Ronnie Brown for a yard. That's one thing Tony Sperano could not have been more decisive about. They have to run the ball. He'd settle for the way they ran it a week ago at Green Bay.
Well, yeah, anybody would settle for that going against Pittsburgh. The problem is Pittsburgh doesn't let anybody run the football. This unit of Dick LeBeau's has just year in, year out been almost the impenetrable wall, and it hasn't changed a whole lot. Guess what? They lead the league, the best run defense in the league.
Well, and everybody who comes up against Pittsburgh ends up running for less than their average. Henne. What a block in front of him. Over the middle. That's complete to Marshall. And Marshall wrestled down at the Steelers' 31-yard line.
James Harrison tried to elevate. And take a look at this. Here comes Harrison off the edge, and he's going to try to go right over the top of Polite, and Polite gets up high enough, and you could hear the entire stadium gasp. But Lusaka Polite, he is one darn good fullback, and Miami was concerned he wasn't going to be able to play today because of a banged-up knee. He's out there and getting it done.
8:40 to play first half. Henne throws outside, and that's brought down by Marshall. And that shows you just exactly what makes Brandon Marshall so tough to cover.
Well, you'll hear the old saying sometimes, he's covered, but he's still open. And that's what a big physical guy like Brandon Marshall is, because how much better do you do it if you're Ike Taylor? I mean, seriously, what's he supposed to do? Short of interfering with the guy, you can't cover a guy any better than Ike Taylor did right there from behind. It just can't be done. Sometimes the guy's just too good.
We'll go back to the Brown game, and this is Ronnie Brown, and Brown spins inside to about the 20-yard line. You know, Ike Taylor says every week I ask to lock up on a guy, but it's not always granted. This week it was.
Yeah, they're going to try to put him the majority of the game on Brandon Marshall, and the reason is that Ike Taylor is a good-sized corner. He's a good 6'2", and because of his height, he's at less of a disadvantage. McFadden on the other side is about 6 feet. Polamalu is only 5'10". So Ike Taylor gives them, at least from the height advantage, the best shot at Brandon Marshall.
Chad Henne calls a timeout here, stops the clock with just under 7.5 to play in the first half. We'll come back to Miami in just a moment. Mentioned a few moments ago how teams run for less than their average against this Steeler defense. That makes the point, doesn't it?
There's the illustration of it. You see Miami today, a grand total of 11 yards rushing.
On first down, Henne. Out to the near side, Ronnie Brown at the 15-yard line. Inside the 10 and out of bounds at the 5. It'll be first and goal for the Dolphins.
Well, there's a stiff arm and a half by Ronnie Brown. First of all, he almost bobbles the ball and loses it. He's able to get it back, but watch this stiff arm on Ike Taylor. right there as he just shoves him away. You didn't get a great look at it from that angle, but it was a good, solid shot, and poor Ike Taylor just got discarded.
First and goal for the Dolphins, just inside the 5-yard line. Ronnie Brown, the deep back. Brown to the 4.
And if you don't watch the Dolphins a lot, you're probably going, geez, where's the Wildcat offense? What's happened to it? Well, it's not a big part of the Dolphins' attack anymore. And it's slowly being phased out. It may make an appearance later today if they're really faltering in other areas. But it's and that's the reason why. It's generating less than 2 yards a run.
Marshall. Kenny looks, throws, and overthrows.
Well, that
Marshall in the end zone purposely.
Yeah, that was a throwaway. Again, Chad Henne not being foolish with the football.
That snaps a string of 7 straight completions by Chad Henne. Meanwhile, on the sideline, yeah, it's a little warm for the guys from up north.
Well, it's that shade, I'm sure, is appreciated. Some of the offensive linemen sitting under there, they've got a whole group of guys holding those things up. What'd you do Sunday afternoon? I was on the Steelers sideline helping them out. What were you doing? Well, I was holding a piece of canvas up in the air so they could sit in the shade.
3rd and goal. End zone pass is incomplete. Intended for Marshall.
And there's Ike Taylor again. Busy little series for Ike. Coverage on Marshall on the other side with a completion, getting stiff arm by Ronnie Brown, and this time locked up with Marshall. And that could have been a completion, but that ball from Chad Henne got away from him a little bit back to the inside.
And once again, the Dolphins are going to have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Yeah, Marshall was open enough that an accurate ball would have been a completion.
This one from 22 yards away. Carpenter's kick is good, and Miami crawls to within 1. 6:03 to play here in the first half. Pittsburgh's lead is down to 10-9. Tony Sperano says points for us on the board. We'll be back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Miller Lite Aluminum Pint. 4 more ounces of that great Pilsner taste. And by KFC. Try KFC's new Double-licious chicken sandwich on a sweet Hawaiian bun. So good.
6:03 to play in the first half of the 1-point game. The Steelers on top by a score of 10-9. And Emmanuel Sanders will be deep once again for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they'll get a chance to return this one from the 10. 25, outside, and all the way out to about the 45, maybe even further than that, to the 47-yard line. Lex Hilliard making the stop. While we have time tonight on 60 Minutes, how did a TV show about guys and cars and laughs become one of the most popular shows on the planet? Find out tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS.
Are you a car guy?
Only when it works.
I know. See, I totally understand where 60 Minutes is going tonight. I mean, I just love cars. Always have.
All right, I have to confess to you, you're talking to a guy who's never changed a flat tire.
I knew that when I didn't say I love to change flat tires. I just said I love cars.
Roethlisberger and company from the 47. Halftime, gonna go deep. Wallace for the touchdown. Maybe the fastest guy in the National Football League.
Well, he's got Chris Johnson kind of speed. And Ben Roethlisberger just lays this thing out there. Jason Allen, number 32, has got the coverage. He knows what's happening, but this is just a case of getting outrun. Jason Allen recognized the pattern, did everything he could do, and just could not catch up to the speed of Mike Wallace. And Ben Roethlisberger, Ben told us one time he overthrew him in practice, and Mike Tomlin stopped practice and said, everybody, do you realize what just happened? Ben actually overthrew Mike Wallace. He didn't on that one. He dropped in a perfect ball.
Steelers' longest pass play of the season, 53 yards. The extra point is good. The Steelers have gotten touchdown passes from Ben Roethlisberger on his last 2 throws.
You know what I'm looking for there, Mark?
5:47 to play in the first half. The Steelers lead it by a score of 17-9. Steelers have scored 14 points in just 2 minutes and 1 second, and Jason Allen burned on the touchdown pass from Roethlisberger to the speedy Mike Wallace.
Well, that's just where you say to your coaches, I knew it was coming. I cheated. I got a head start, and I still couldn't catch the guy. I'm sorry. I'm not fast enough to cover that guy on a fly pattern.
Do you remember yesterday Ike Taylor told us, I don't know why defensive backs just don't turn and run, and then you might have a chance of being with him at the end of the play.
Well, Jason Allen did everything but. He certainly turned. He bought himself a good 4 or 5 yards, and it still wasn't good enough.
Patrick Cobbs is deep for the kick. That's Cobbs. Blew the ball off the tee, so we'll do this again.
You know, we're talking about what Jason Allen was doing. Take a look at him up here. He's already broken and giving ground at the start of the play. See him moving back? He started up, lined up in press coverage, and he gave himself a good 5 or 6 yard head start, and he still couldn't keep up with Mike Wallace. I mean, that's got to be kind of frustrating and a little bit scary, because there's still 2.5 quarters of football to play, and you realize I haven't covered a guy this fast in a long time, if ever.
Mike Tomlin said he's as fast as anybody he's been around. And Roethlisberger said his speed is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ike Taylor holding the ball for the kick now, and here's Cobbs. And he will get to run this one out as he takes it into and out of the end zone for the touchback.
Well, Mike Wallace is used to big plays. We've already referenced the last game of last season here in Miami. And guess what? There's Mike Wallace again with a 52-yard reception. And now he comes right back going exactly the same direction, and he betters it by a yard. That one 53, and some lucky fan got the football. And as Al Davis used to say, speed kills. And Mike Wallace has speed in abundance.
So Henning on first down from his own 20-yard line. With time. Throws it out the near side and threw it low to Ricky Williams. It's incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. Talk about a difference that Ben Roethlisberger makes. The Steelers come in averaging 160 yards throwing a game. They've got 155 so far today.
And again, it's only Ben's second game back after the 4-game suspension. And, you know, the Steelers to a man just talking about, you know, our passing game isn't where we want it to be. We're having to work on it during the season because Ben was gone for those 4 weeks. But, boy, if they're not there where they'd like to be, you can see they're getting closer and closer.
Here comes the blitz. Henning spins away from trouble and throws it away. 3rd and 10.
Again, initially, Chad Henne had a decent pocket, but then he can't find anybody open downfield, and it finally collapses around him. James Harrison gets a running start at it, runs right into Richie Incognito, and runs Incognito all the way back in and through Chad Henne. Normally, with that kind of pressure, somebody else is there to clean up. You think James Harrison is a powerful man? That's a 325-pound guard he just picked up and carried back to the quarterback.
On 3rd down, Henning, time again, pulls it down twice and then throws, and that's complete out to the 35. Hartline with a nice catch and a 1st down.
Well, you talk to Tony Sperano, and he's quick to talk about how his offensive line is coming along. And let me tell you, that was fabulous blocking. Chad Henne again had all the time in the world to find a receiver. Again, take a look at this pocket. It's a 4-man rush, but that is just stoning them. I mean, that is giving your quarterback all day to find somebody.
That's the first third down conversion of the day for the Dolphins. Straight ahead, Ricky Williams to about the 43.
Well, Troy Polamalu comes up and makes the hit. That's about the first time today that he's found himself in the middle of things. Man, when he wants to come up and when it's his job to come up and support the run, what a sure tackler. He's not one of those guys that hangs on when he makes a tackle. He goes through the person he's attempting to tackle, and their legs are going sideways.
Quick pass to Hartline on the near side, across the 45 and out to about the 49, and that's another Miami first down as we come up on 4 minutes to play in the half.
You know, one of the fun things here when Miami has the ball, Greg, Dan Henning, their offensive coordinator, you know, he's 68 years old, and he's matching wits with Pittsburgh's defensive coordinator, Dick LeBeau, who's 73. This is the Social Security offense here.
Experience
against the super senior defense.
Ricky Williams across midfield to about the 46.5-yard line of the Steelers. Nick Eason with the tackle. 3.5 to play. End counter. Dick LeBeau, 62 career interceptions. What a career he had.
Well, and his career culminated in August when he was enshrined in Canton, Ohio with the Hall of Fame and the Steelers, and one of the classiest things I've ever seen. The entire 2010 edition of the Steelers went to Canton to be there for their coach at his induction.
Henning over the middle, got his man inside the 35. Devon Bess has another first down for the Dolphins.
Devon Bess is a hard-working guy, like slot receivers have to be, because it's not glamorous. You're working underneath. You're in there where the big guys are, and you can see that Lawrence Timmons has got the coverage on him. Well, I'm sorry, Lawrence Timmons, he does get in there. To his credit, he hooks him, but that is asking a lot of Lawrence Timmons to try to keep up with the quickness that Devon Bess has.
2.5 to play from the 32-yard line. Just short of the 25-yard line is Roberto Wallace, the rookie free agent out of San Diego State. And it looks like that will bring us to the 2-minute warning. We won't get another play before we get this. 2 minutes to play here in Miami. Steelers leading it. We'll be right back. Stand by for the usual suspects coming up on the Sprint halftime report. James Brown, Dan Shannon, Boomer. Coach Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and highlights. A few clouds out over the stadium, off in the distance. 2nd and 4 for the Dolphins from the 26. Henny throws outside. That is complete to Bess. Bess to the 15, to the 10, the 5, touchdown!
Well, everybody talks about Brandon Marshall and his ability to run after the catch. I think Devon Bess is saying, I want to get in on a little of that recognition. Because take a look at this as he gets away from Gay. Look at the move he puts on Clark, and then he stays in bounds and stays balanced enough to lunge over the goal line. Devon Bess showing that he is earning his big new contract here in Miami.
They're going to check and see if Devon Bess stayed in bounds on the far sideline.
Remember, we're inside 2 minutes, so this is called for by the replay assistant upstairs. This ought to give us a good look Again, shaking the initial tackle.
That's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. Jerry Bergman, the head linesman, was right there in position, and he made the non-call, saying that he stayed in bounds.
You know, these Steelers don't surrender touchdowns easily. This is their 6th game of the season. It's the 6th touchdown they've allowed this year.
Again, here's another look at it, and it looks pretty definitive. Looks pretty definitive that Devon Bess is well in bounds.
And this didn't take Gene Steratore long.
No.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a touchdown.
Well, finally, Tony Sperano's team gets in the end zone after enjoying a lot of trips deep into Pittsburgh territory and having to settle for 3 field goals. Now they finally cracked the case of the Pittsburgh end zone. Again, take a look at this. They were down to the 21. They were down to the 5. They were down to the 4. Until they finally got in on that play by Devon Bess.
Chad Henne's 8th touchdown pass of the season, and Bess catches his 3rd. The extra point is good, and with 1:50 showing on the clock here in the first half, it's a 1-point game again. The Steelers lead at 17-16, and Miami looks pretty determined, Dan, to change this home field thing around.
Oh, they're just non-believers that this has actually happened to them, that they got 2 losses at home, one of them an embarrassing loss to New England. But Devon Bess, I'm telling you what, this is one exciting young player. And Chad Henne, keep in mind, remember he got off to an 0-4 start in this game. They couldn't buy a completion. Yeah, look at this, 3-0 away and 0-2 here at home. And let me just tell you something. This is such a home field advantage, especially early in the year, because it's just so doggone hot down here and humid, and a lot of teams have come here in the past over the last decades and melted.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, no. Well, it's pretty nice here at the new stadium. At the old Orange Bowl, on that artificial turf at the bottom of the Orange Bowl, seriously, you could fry an egg on that field down there, and Don Shula's old Dolphins used it to their advantage every game. It was tough.
These Steelers come into the game giving up 12 points a game on average. Miami has 16 on the board. This is Emmanuel Sanders from about the 12. 30, 35, and out to the 40-yard line.
Well, we've had a lot going on here in these first 2 quarters. Early on, it was just a game of turnovers, starting with the opening kickoff by Sanders. That led to 3. Then Ben tries to throw it, but ends up fumbling it instead. That led to a field goal and 3 points. Brian Hartline gets sandwiched there, flies right to Ferrier. That was another 3. And then Hines, well, look at Hines Ward shaking the tackle, and then Mike Wallace. So Ben Roethlisberger ends up with a pair of touchdown passes, but then Chad Henne responds with one of his own to Devon Bess. And what started out as a turnover field goal game has gotten exciting here with big plays.
Now from the 40-yard line, Roethlisberger looks one way, throws the other, and that is complete inside the 40.
Are you kidding
Hines
me?
Ward, what a terrific grab.
Are you kidding me? Look at that. There aren't many raw competitors quite the equal of Hines Ward. Just you take a look at that. That is just effort. That's when effort meets talent, when you can pull that off.
First down from the 34. Roethlisberger on the run, got rid of it, throws it out to the side, and that is complete. And spinning down is Mewelde Moore, and we'll get a timeout to stop the clock with 1:03 to play. Not news to anyone around the league that Ben Roethlisberger at 6'5", 241 is tough to bring down.
Yes, he is. There's not a quarterback in football that's any tougher to sack. I thought it was pretty funny talking to Max Starks. I said, well, what's it like, the left tackle of the Pittsburgh Steelers? I said, what's it like blocking for a quarterback that you don't know where he's going to be? And he said, I never realized how I took the rear view mirrors on my car for granted. He said, I wish I had a couple attached to my helmet so I could see behind me to see where Ben's going to be.
Dan, easily the best story of yesterday's interviews came when you asked Max Starks what he weighed, and he said 355, and then you relayed that information to Ike Taylor.
And Ike Taylor looked at me and said, and you believed him? So then we think that Max has worked his way up into the 360s, and then we come to find out that pretty much anything under 370 is okay
with Coach Tomlin.
Yeah.
2nd and 4. Mewelde Moore spun down back at the 37 by Carlos Dansby.
Well, that was going to be a reverse because the intended ball carrier was Mike Wallace. And talk about penetration killing a play. Look at Dansby get upfield. Moore is trying to hand it off to Wallace, and I'll tell you, smart play by Mewelde Moore, because that could have ended up being a fumble and a turnover. He just ate the yardage because of Dansby's good play.
And Pittsburgh not really in any hurry here. 25 seconds on the clock. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Roethlisberger squeezes through and goes down at the 40. Tony McDaniel. And with that, time will expire here in the first half.
Well, Pittsburgh just can't be willing. I'm surprised Ben didn't try to get rid of that football and try to at least get themselves with a chance to try to get a field goal range.
That's the end of the first half. Pittsburgh by 1, 17-16. Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. Lost the football. It's on the ground. Who's got it? Miami. Gonna go deep. Wallace for the touchdown. And at halftime here in Miami, the Pittsburgh Steelers lead it by 1 as we get set to start the third quarter. The All-State Points of Protection presented by Allstate. Got to protect the football. 3 combined turnovers led to 13 points so far today. Got to protect against the big play. All 3 touchdowns today for 20 or more yards. And Ben Roethlisberger throwing the football well. It's a 1-point lead for the Steelers. Welcome back to Miami. One Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. That's the good news for the Steelers. Roethlisberger throwing the ball well. The good news for Miami is Chad Henne, after a poor start, 0 for 4, has come out throwing the football very well, but they're not running the ball at all.
Well, no, they're having to throw the football because I don't think they believe they can run the football against the Steelers. So if they're going to win this game, it's going to be on Chad Henne throwing the football. We saw a couple touchdown passes because of yards after the catch. You immediately think we must be talking about Brandon Marshall, but no, it was Devon Best and it was Hines Ward, both making great plays after receptions, getting themselves into the end zone.
We're always talking about halftime adjustments, Dan. It'll be interesting to see what both these teams come out doing in the second half.
Well, they are what they are in the sense that, Miami's not going to quit trying to run, but I'm not sure they have a lot of confidence.
Patrick Cobb still on his feet. 35 penalty markers are down. Midfield and out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. And let's check the flag.
There's no question that this is coming back.
Gene Steratore, our official, our referee, and the first indication, Dan, is that the the Miami offense is way back inside their own 10-yard line.
There are 2 fouls during the return. Illegal block in the back, return team number 18. That penalty is declined. Also during the return, holding number 51 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, first down Miami.
That penalty on Tim Dobbins, and that nullifies a 47-yard return as we look at some first half numbers.
And again, you take a look at the rushing yards here for Miami, 22 yards. Keep in mind, Ronnie Brown, their primary carry, he's got 5 carries for 2 yards. 5 carries for 2 yards, and Ricky Williams only has 20 yards on a half a dozen carries. So they have been pretty much choked out of it at the line of scrimmage by these Steelers. And
you know, the Steelers sideline looks like a spa.
well, they know that the Dolphins weren't going to provide any shade over there, so they brought their own.
First down from the 16-yard line. This is Brown. Across the 20 to about the 22.
And that's the most productive run of the day for Ronnie Brown.
You know, you made mention earlier about the disappearance of the Wildcat, and we asked Tony Sperano about it. He said we didn't need it in Green Bay because we were running the ball so well without it, but it hasn't made an appearance here yet today.
No, and we put up that graphic in the first half showing you that it averages less than 2 yards per play for the entire season so far. That's just not productive. You don't do what's not productive.
Quick pass to the outside on 2nd and 4 to Brandon Marshall, and Ike Taylor made the tackle.
Good sure tackle by Ike Taylor on Brandon Marshall, who, let's be realistic, at 6'4", 230, this guy, if you don't want to say he scares every defensive back in the league, let's say he gets their attention. Because this guy never looks for the sideline. He never wants to go out of bounds. He looks for a DB to run over. And Ike Taylor that time went low and took the legs out of Brandon Marshall.
3rd and short yardage. Brown and Polite in the backfield. The give straight ahead to Polite. And he is right at the 26-yard line in the first down marker.
Crowd, they're not booing. They're giving you the old Lusaka Polite, who makes a habit out of moving the chains when he runs it on 3rd and short. And had that string broken where he was batting 1,000. This guy is he's a special player, and they were really concerned that he wasn't going to be able to go today.
NFL fullbacks are just battering rams, aren't they?
No, they really are. They all retire about an inch shorter than when they started.
Henny to throw under pressure and goes down back at the 17-yard line. Larry Foote coming through.
Well, Larry Foote is back with the Steelers after leaving. Went to Detroit for a while, and now he is back. And again, look at the blitz up the middle. You see Ferrier goes into the A-gap, and for some reason, Vernon Carey just stands there and waves at Larry Foote as he goes on by and blocks a nice big old chunk of air instead of number 50. Carey was confused as to his blocking responsibilities, and again, the Steelers have made a living out of that, and Dick LeBeau by confusing other teams' blockers.
From the shotgun, Henny throws it to Bess, and Bess out to about the 22-yard line. Lamar Woodley is not on the field, and the word we get on him is a hamstring problem, and his return is questionable.
Well, in that time, rookie Jason Worlds, he had the rush, and he got around Vernon Carey that time and forced Chad Henne to move. Vernon a couple tough plays here back to back.
Chad Henne pretty proficient coming into this game on 3rd down. Not today.
There's Worlds again.
Best at the 25. And nothing but Steelers in front of him. He steps out of bounds at about the 27.
Well, the same rush that he showed last time, Jason Worlds just goes right upfield and gets that soft shoulder turn by Vernon Carey. And if it wasn't for the fact that Chad Henne had room to step up, that could have been a sack.
Antoine Randall is deep, number 82. And joining him is Emmanuel Sanders. This is Randall fakes the reverse and is brought down at his own 32-yard line. 11:04 to play in the 3rd quarter. Steelers by 1. We've had a little bit of this and a little bit of that weather-wise here in Miami. Welcome back, everyone. 11:04 play here in the 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh with the ball and a 1-point lead. Roethlisberger begins from his own 33. Mendenhall. maybe to the 35.
This Miami defense, they have really become a pretty good unit. And it's because of the blossoming of some young talent like Cameron Wake and the arrival of a rookie like Koa Misi and the free agent signing of a guy like Carlos Dansby. It's getting a healthy Channing Crowder back, who ended up last year on IR. And he missed the first 4 games this year with a groin. They've got a really bright future.
Here's Mendenhall, and Mendenhall is stacked up by Cameron Wake.
Well, you always have a soft spot for an undrafted free agent who ends up becoming a real talent in the NFL, and that's what Cameron Wake is right there. Look at him. He got leverage, got underneath Max Starks, didn't give any ground, floated the football. But he's really kind of made his mark as a pass rusher, but he showed us right there that he's not afraid to take on a big tackle and hold his ground in the run game.
3rd and 11. Roethlisberger pulls it down, now over the middle, and finds his man out to midfield as Emmanuel Sanders for the first down.
Well, Emmanuel Sanders every week is in a competition with Antonio Brown to see who gets to be the active receiver for that game. And this week it was Sanders that won the competition. And Mike Tomlin, his eyes just light up when he talks about
I like to do that.
Yeah, that's what coaches love, to have that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday competition to see who's going to play on Sunday. That's when you guarantee that you get good, lively practices and a lot of work done.
You consider he sat Antonio Brown down, and Antonio Brown had an 89-yard kick return for a touchdown earlier this season. Roethlisberger, under pressure, throws it, got his man inside the 30-yard line. Hines Ward again.
Well, every time that Hines Ward and Ben Roethlisberger hook up on a completion, it's just one step more to getting right back to where they were before Ben's suspension. And again, a nice job of laying it right out there. And you saw Sean Smith, who was in the deep coverage that time, instead of going for the headshot on Hines Ward, he goes low, and what's he do? He ends up hitting Hines Ward down around the knees, and Ward looks like he's shaken up.
Roethlisberger, 14 out of 18 for 237 yards. First down at the 26. Mendenhall going to lose yardage on the play. Paul Soliai. And back comes Hines Ward.
Here comes Hines Ward back. Let's look at that play once more, because you see number 24, Sean Smith, he makes a decision and he goes low. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Hines Ward is not alone. You ask anybody, they'd rather take the shot up high than they would down around their knees. Your knees and your legs are your livelihood. I'm not going to minimize taking a shot to the head, but nobody wants a shot down around their knees. Nobody.
Second and 12. Roethlisberger to the 20. Complete to Ward. He came into this game with 912 catches, more than 11,000 yards, and 80 receiving touchdowns.
And a guy who's made a living just demonstrating his toughness on the field. Not normally something that you talk about with a wide receiver. It just had to gall Hines Ward that he even had to go to the sideline for one play because of a hit by a defender.
I asked him yesterday if he had really had any thoughts of playing 13 years in the NFL. He said, no, absolutely not.
But here he is.
Mendenhall bounces off of tacklers, can't elude the rest, and is down at about the 18-yard line.
I think he really bounced off his own offensive line because they were driven into the backfield. Again, this Miami team, the Steelers over the years and teams like Baltimore and Pittsburgh have made a living about standing toe-to-toe with another team and bullying them a little bit. And this Miami team, in Bill Parcells' image, even though he's gone now, but Tony Sperano, they're not going to be shoved around by anybody, not on a regular basis.
Mendenhall has run for negative yardage each of his last 3 carries. Second and 12. for Roethlisberger. End zone, and he missed his man. Ward wants a flag that isn't forthcoming.
Well, let's see if we can look at Hines Ward. You see he comes out of the cluster formation. That's Jeremiah Bell right there in front of him. A lot of contact there after the 5-yard zone. And Carlos Dansby with the second shot. Lucky he got away with that. You're not allowed to reroute a receiver like that after he's gone 5 yards.
3rd and 12. Pump fake to the right. Roethlisberger on the move. And he's going to run it? No. Directing traffic. Back to the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Hines Ward.
Boy, Miami is arguing that Ben was across the line of scrimmage. It looked to me like he was at least a yard or more past the line of scrimmage.
Line of scrimmage was the 18.
There it is. You can see it right at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, you betcha.
Illegal forward pass.
Yes.
Offense, the quarterback was beyond the line when he threw the forward pass. It's a 5-yard penalty and a loss of down. It's 4th down.
Well, they called the penalty even though we didn't see a flag anywhere on the field. But, yeah, Ben made it pretty obvious, especially when he pulled up and just stood there. It's one thing where you got to make that call on the fly, but when he pulled up and just stood there, 2 yards across the line, yeah, a snapshot, a Kodak moment.
So here's Jeff Reed from 39 yards out to try to extend Pittsburgh's lead to 4. Kick is on the way and looks pretty good. 5:32 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Roethlisberger and Hines Ward talk about it. It's a 20-16 Steeler lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by the all-new Volkswagen Jetta. It's great for the price of good. That's Das Auto.
Hey, Wednesday on CBS, when the prosecution fights dirty, the defenders fight back. Jim Belushi and Jerry O'Connell star. Wednesday, only CBS. Harrison and company on the Pittsburgh sideline with a 4-point lead. 5.5 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Greg Gumbel, Dan Beardorf, and the rest of our CBS Sports crew at Sun Life Stadium in Miami. Hines Ward has had himself a day, and that's not unusual.
No, and I think so far, here still in the 3rd quarter, though, this game's playing pretty much out to form, where it's a tough, hard-hitting, physical game where points are the premium. The key so far, Pittsburgh's had touchdowns, Miami field goals.
Patrick Cobbs from the 12. Across the 25 and out to about the 27-yard line, and that is where Chad Henne and the Miami offense will get started when we come back. It's 20-16 Pittsburgh. This is not good news for the Pittsburgh defense. Aaron Smith, defensive end with an arm injury, walking off to the locker room. We are told he will not return.
Well, they are dangerously thin on the defensive line.
Henne to throw. That's Marshall. Complete out to the 40 and a 1st down.
Again, you know, Greg, Nick Eason is starting at the other defensive end because Brett Kiesel isn't playing today because of a hamstring. So now both of the Steelers' starting defensive ends are out of this game. And that means it's Ziggy Hood and Casey Hampton, Nick Eason, and only Chris Hope as a backup. They are running out of warm bodies there on the defensive line.
On 1st down, Henne to throw again. That's complete to Ricky Williams for no gain. And it'll be 2nd and 10. And once again, James Brown in New York City, JD.
Greg and Dan, Ed Reed getting his first pick since November 22nd, 09 in Baltimore, capitalizes on this flea flicker here. Take a look. Flacco up top, hooking up with Anquan Bolden, 34-yard connection. Baltimore on top, 26-24. Boy, Buffalo's hanging in, though. That in the third. Greg and Dan.
Replay, first down.
Thank you, JB. What they're saying in Buffalo is nice while it lasted, I guess, huh?
Yes, really. Well, they hit Miami with a penalty here on Jake Long, a holding call, and that now makes this drive all the tougher. We start now with a little 1st and 20 action.
And Ricky Williams on the ground. And Williams gets 5 of them back out to the 35-yard line. This was Jake Long battling James Harrison.
This is a matchup we knew we were going to see all day. And, you know, I talked to Jake about the leverage aspect of this. And you know what that is? That's James Harrison getting low, getting under there, and then making it look like he was being held even more than he was. That, again, Jake Long at 6'7" and James Harrison at 6 feet. Jake knew it was going to be a problem against the shorter guy.
Ricky Williams running room across the 45 out to the 46-yard line. And it'll be 3rd and 4, and it's the running game that has just deserted the Miami Dolphins. Last week, they ran for 150 yards against the Green Bay Packers, and they needed that run to get up to 46 so far on the day.
Well, they haven't done much of anything except on the last 2 downs. Remember, this was 1st and 20. And with 2 running plays, they're now looking at a manageable 3rd and 4. There's Dan Henning on the right there with the silver hair, befitting his 68 years on this planet.
A big 3rd and 4 for Henning. Henning looks the other way, and he's got his man, and that's out of bounds to Anthony Fasano, but not before he gets the first down at the Pittsburgh 45.
Oh, I'll guarantee it, Dick LeBeau is chewing nails over there now on the Pittsburgh sideline. When you have a 1st and 20, and again, a 4-man rush, but look at the pocket. Look at that pocket that Chad Henne gets. 2 running plays and a 3rd down completion, and the Miami Dolphins convert a 1st and 20. And that, don't take a blood pressure reading on Dick LeBeau right now.
That's 10 straight completions for Henning. And it's a 1st down just inside the Pittsburgh 45. Play fake. Henning throws. That's complete inside the 30-yard line to Fasano again.
Well, James Harrison again working his way back into the backfield, but no pressure. Take a look, Chad Henne. A lot of time to set up and survey the field before he gets it to Anthony Fasano. Jake Long again working on Harrison. He gets run back into Henne, and you know Harrison doesn't know where the football is. He takes them both to the ground.
We're seeing those passes from Chad Henne that Tony Sperano says he's improved so much on.
Yeah, the mid-level stuff. You're right.
On 1st down, Henne looks both ways and then throws it away out of bounds on the far side. Ricky Williams closest to the ball. It'll be 2nd down.
Well, the most fatiguing thing for a defensive lineman is rushing the passer. And as this game wears on, and as their numbers dwindle over there on the defensive side of the ball, you got to wonder about 4th quarter fatigue. And you see Chris Hope just checking out of the lineup. He waved himself over to the Steelers sideline.
He hasn't even been playing.
Well, they're all having to play now. When Aaron Smith walked off, that's a huge loss for Pittsburgh.
2nd and 10. Williams inside the 20-yard line.
See, I don't know if this trend is going to continue, but Tony Sperano right now is going, this is what I've been looking for as we move into the second half of this ball game. My guys that are used to this down here, this heat and humidity, asserting themselves a little bit. Again, going back to the beginning of this drive, it started with a 1st and 20. This has been effective by Miami in moving the ball to this point.
Now a big 3rd and 2, and Ronnie Brown and Lou Polite in the backfield. Henne on the move, throws, and it got tipped at the line of scrimmage. And falls incomplete, and that'll bring the field goal unit onto the field for the Dolphins.
I know they didn't convert it, but a year ago that would have almost been a mandatory running down for the Miami Dolphins on 3rd and 2. And I think it just shows you a little bit about the growth of Chad Henne and Dan Henning in play calling, that they're comfortable letting him try to convert it on 3rd and 2.
Dan Carpenter for his 4th field goal attempt of the day. And he will nail this one from 37 yards away. 1:08 to play in the 3rd. Again, it's a 1-point game. 20-19 Pittsburgh.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. And by Allstate. Dollar for dollar, nobody protects you like Allstate.
If the Miami Dolphins come out on the short end of this one when this is all over, you know what Tony Sparano will emphasize. 3 red zone trips so far. They come away with just 3 field goals. Emmanuel Sanders will not run this one out of the end zone. It'll be a touchback. And when we come back to Miami, the Steelers will start first down from their own 20-yard line, leading by 1. It's warm down there. Just a reminder, it's a doubleheader day of football here on CBS. Up next, Tom Brady and the Patriots out west, meeting Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers, or Oakland against Denver. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
The Dolphins will become San Diego fans after this game. They're in the same division with the Patriots. Patriots 4-1.
Rashard Mendenhall has been held in check today. Came in averaging 99 yards a game. He's rushed for just 25, 26 yards today.
No, it has been hard fought every yard on the line of scrimmage. Both of these teams have contested each other's running games pretty effectively.
We are in the last 40 seconds of the 3rd quarter. Roethlisberger out into the flat. Mendenhall eludes a tackler, eludes another across the 25. Channing Crowder cut him down, and with that, we will come to the end of the 3rd quarter. No one will stop the clock between now and then, and so we've played 3 here at Sun Life Stadium. We'll change ends, and Pittsburgh leads it by a score of 20-19. We're coming back for the 4th quarter after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back for the start of the 4th quarter, along with our producer Mark Wolf, our director Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel and Dan Deerdorf, and the rest of our CBS Sports crew. 3rd and 4 for the Steelers at their own 26-yard line. Roethlisberger on the move. Penalty marker flies, and he throws it away. Let's check the flag.
Well, it's going to be a holding call.
Holding. Offense, number 71. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Flozell Adams back in the lineup and gets that call. And Devon Best goes deep for the punt.
Well, there's Mewelde Moore, number 21, trying to do some blocking. That's who actually, I think, gets the holding call, because Flozell Adams isn't even on the field.
It's more of a dance than a hold.
Yeah.
Best. To about the 40. Good field position for the Miami Dolphins. They trail by 1. And they'll have the ball when we come back. There's a lot going on in that game story, not the least of which is the most points that the Pittsburgh Steelers have allowed this young season.
Keep in mind here for the Pittsburgh defense, Lamar Woodley is not playing right now. Aaron Smith is not playing. Both those guys out because of injury. Things are getting a little thin along the defensive front for Pittsburgh.
Play fake to Brown. Kenny with time throws over the middle, and that's complete across the 45 to Brown on the receiving end. How about this Miami offense? Absolutely putrid in the first quarter. They had 7 total yards. They've had 239 yards since then.
Well, and it came to life on the arm of Chad Henne. Now, he's been getting, I think, excellent pass protection. By and large, he's had a comfortable pocket to sit in and a chance to work his progressions.
On 2nd and 5, the gives to Brown, straight ahead, bulls his way across midfield and into Pittsburgh territory. That may be about a half yard or so shy of a first down. James Ferrier, the tackle.
It's awfully close to moving the chains. Gene Steratore comes over and flashes the Miami bench. There you go. That's what you got for a first down. So let's see if this Miami offensive line can assert themselves here. Play a little muscle football. A little big boy football here.
Brown and Polite in the backfield. Brown. Doesn't look like he made it.
I don't think he did either. And again on the backside, Larry Foote. It's not every day that the backside linebacker ends up being the reason the play gets disrupted.
And Tony Sperano's going to kick it away.
Yeah, they actually lost a little yardage on that. Watch Larry. They're going to pull Jake Long on the backside, and you see Foote. He comes right in there and gets right on Long's hip pocket, and it takes him right to the ball carrier. That is a slow developing play when the backside linebacker coming offside can disrupt it.
Antoine Randall is deep. Falls for the fair catch and makes it at about the 14-yard line. 12 and a half to play in a 1-point game in Miami.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. DirecTV. Watch your favorite team wherever you live, only on DirecTV. Call to switch today. And by the all-new CRZ Sport Hybrid, only from Honda.
Twelve and a half to play in the fourth quarter. Steelers with the ball by 1, 20-19. They start from their own 14-yard line. The Pittsburgh running game has been practically non-existent here today. Roethlisberger throwing and overthrows his intended receiver Hines Ward. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, Hines Ward may not have been able to come up with that one hit, but he has had one productive day up to this point. A half a dozen catches so far. Look at that deep pattern. He gets it from Big Ben. And then this is just nifty running after the catch, shedding tackles, cutting back in, ending up with a touchdown. And how about this effort going over the top of Benny Sapp? How about that? And then this was the last play right here, and you can see the little jostle, down he goes.
Emmanuel Sanders has replaced Antoine Randall, who limped off the field. 2nd and 10. Straight ahead is Mendenhall to about the 19. Let's get an update once again from New York. Here is James Brown. JB.
Greg and Dan, Cincy has scored 3 touchdowns in 2 minutes and 23 seconds to take the lead. Take a look here. Adam Jones stripping Roddy White of the ball. Adam returns it 59 yards to pay dirt. Cincy did try 2 consecutive 2-point conversions. Both failed. They have a 1-point lead. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deardorff.
All right, JB, thank you. 3rd and 4 for Roethlisberger. And we get a false start. It'll be 3rd and 9.
False start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
It's big Max Starks, the left tackle.
And in a game where everybody's big to some degree.
He was just frightening when he walked into the room yesterday.
Yeah, most people 6'8", 365 pounds are frightening.
It's a good thing he's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, oh, and he is. Great laugh.
3rd and 9. Roethlisberger spreading the field. Randall L. back onto the field.
Watch Cameron Wake. He's lined up right here in the middle.
Roethlisberger runs, throws, complete over the middle, and that is complete to Heath Miller for a first down across the 30 to the 31-yard line.
Well, that time Miami fakes the 4-man rush and actually bails Cameron Wake. You see him in the middle of your screen dropping back. It ends up only being a 3-guy rush, and Ben Roethlisberger says, well, heck, that's awfully easy to evade. And Heath Miller did exactly what he's supposed to do. Make himself a big target, sit still, don't run into coverage, just sit there. Your quarterback will find you.
Roethlisberger 17 of 24 for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mendenhall close to the 35. We get another NFL Today report from James Brown. JB.
Hey, Greg, Washington is taking a lead over Chicago when Jay Cutler throws his 5th pick of the season, picked off here by D'Angelo Hall. He returns it 92 yards for the score, 17-14 Washington. You and Dan talked about intimidating. Try Chris Jenkins in the studio today, 6'5" and a reported 380, Greg. That was pretty intimidating as well. Back to Greg Gumbel.
You could take him, JB. I know you.
JB, a reported 380, a non-believer. We may have had a 400-pound sighting in the studio.
Roethlisberger on 2nd and 6, going to throw up the seam, tipped in and complete. Pass intended for Randall L. and Vontae Davis. I was mentioning to you during the break, Dan, we haven't talked about Vontae Davis today. That's a good thing for a DB.
Well, this is just an exciting young talent, only his 2nd year out of Illinois. And even Mike Tomlin talking about it yesterday, he goes, hey, that Davis kid is some football player. And again, look how he's got tight coverage, but that ball was right there. That was a good throw by Roethlisberger. But Vontae Davis, he's going to be around for a long time.
3rd and 6.
Vernon Davis's younger brother, by the way.
Roethlisberger lost the football and picked up by number 53, Marquise Pouncey, the center.
Well, that is twice today that Ben, when he's in the midst of being sacked, tries to get creative and do something with the football, and it has backfired both times. And Ben, again, holding that ball up high, thinking about doing something with. There's no question that that's a fumble. He gets stripped of the ball before he's able to start some type of a forward motion. And fortunately, it goes right to Marquise Pouncey.
Pretty good hands on the rookie center. Devon Best, deep at his own 20.
He's a center. He handles the ball on every play.
There you go. My bad. Sepulveda's kick. Best at the 15. Gets some return yardage out of it. Was out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. 8:44 to play, 4th quarter. Chad Henne and company back onto the field after this. Ben Roethlisberger sits on the sideline as Chad Henne takes over from his own 26-yard line. Ricky Williams. Play fake to him. Henne throws, and Hartline has it. Midfield, and a big first down gain for Miami.
Boy, when Chad Henne gets to set himself in the pocket, and again, not much of a pass rush here by Pittsburgh, look at the quality of the throw. When he's able to step into it like that, look at the quality of his mechanics over the top. A strike to Brian Hartline, and again, his offensive line giving him an excellent pocket.
Again, after a slow start, Henne has come on strong.
Well, did Ferrier declare himself with the blitz? Yep.
Kenny got rid of it and throws incomplete. These Miami Dolphins have won close games this season. At Buffalo, week 1, a 5-point win over the Bills at 15-10. And then week 2, a 4-point win over the Vikings up in Minnesota. And then last week, in overtime, Carpenter's 53-yard field goal beat the Packers 23-20.
Carpenter won the Special Teams Player of the Week, and he's been on a tear again here this afternoon.
4 field goals today, ties his career high.
4 out of 4.
Kenny on 2nd and 10. That one is complete to Fasano. Fasano inside the 30-yard line.
Awesome blitz pickup by Miami. Again, the Steelers come with that blitz. They love to run right into the A-gaps. In other words, on either side of the center. And look at the pickup. Look at the pickup by Ricky Williams and Polite. The 2 backs get in there and stone the 2 Steeler linebackers coming in on the blitz. They got Foot and Ferrier. That was textbook.
Now to the Pittsburgh 28. Lex Hilliard joins Ricky Williams in the backfield. And this is Ricky straight up the middle. Close to the 25.
How about Dick LeBeau? He comes right back with the exact same blitz, that crossing blitz in the middle. This time it ends up being a running play. Again, it is so hard to pick this up. Look at it again. Look at the 2 linebackers in the middle, how they cross. It's Foot and Ferrier again. This time, Larry Foot able to come off the block and come back in and make the tackle. Dick LeBeau will never stop throwing it at you.
Second and 8. This is Ricky Williams. Just inside the 25 to the 24. 6.5 to play in regulation.
And again, any yards you scratch out running the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Miami is up to 63 yards on the day, which is just about at 0.6 of a yard less than the Steelers' average of what they give up for the season. I never thought you'd feel that good about a 63-yard rushing day.
Kenny on 3rd and 6 throws it outside. That's complete. And Devon Best to the 22-yard line. That'll be short of a 1st down. And here comes Carpenter to try for a career best 5th field goal.
Well, the leading tackler for the Steelers, Lawrence Timmons, that you're looking at right there, 94. Nice tackle on Devon Best. And again, that's just all about getting Best out in the open and let him make people miss. Timmons wouldn't have any of it.
This is from 40 yards away. It would be his longest of the day, and it would give Miami the lead. Just inside the right upright.
No passion in that guy. Tony Sperano.
5:17 to play in the 3rd, and Tony Sperano will make the call for the officials. Thank you.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Acura. The most innovative thinking you'll find in an Acura.
Welcome back to South Florida. The Miami Dolphins have scored 6 straight points and grabbed a 2-point lead at 22-20. Emmanuel Sanders from the 5. 20. 35. And finally tracked down across midfield and into Miami territory by Lex Hilliard.
And that was a touchdown-saving tackle by Hilliard, because Sanders is gone. As he makes the break here towards the Miami sideline, Hilliard was the last guy. And I'm telling you, there was nothing between Sanders and the end zone.
That's a 48-yard return and sets the Steelers up 1st down at the Miami 48. field position when they needed it most.
And time a non-factor with over 5 minutes.
Mendenhall wrapped up by Channing Crowder.
Again, a reminder that on the Pittsburgh offensive line, they've lost Flozell Adams in the first half with an ankle. That guy, number 72, Jonathan Scott, has replaced him. Now, it was Mike Tomlin's plan to have Scott rotate in and out with Adams.
Just not so soon.
No, he was worried about the heat. He didn't see the injury coming.
2nd and 7. Roethlisberger got rid of it and hit just inside the 45-yard line was Hines Ward by Benny Sapp.
Well, again, short little dump-offs that are designed to produce something yards after the catch. You know, after his touchdown reception of 53 yards, haven't seen or heard much from Mike Wallace.
He is in the slot to the top of the screen. A big 3rd and 5. That's complete to Moore out of the backfield with running room. 20, 15, and a first down. Chris Clemens dragged him down.
Well, they had 2 open receivers because Mike Wallace was open immediately over on the other side, and Roethlisberger working to the right. A great job by Moore of faking like he was blocking. He got a shot on Clemens, and then he took off, and by that time, Clemens was in a chase position and was lucky to get back in it to make the tackle downfield.
The line of scrimmage now to Miami 14.
So hard to keep track of an offensive player who fakes blocking and then releases.
3 minutes to play. Redmond. Out of bounds at about the 10. And a late flag.
Well, there was a hit well after the play was over. I just saw the blur of a body going by.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 78, half the distance to the goal, automatic, first down.
That's Tony McDaniel.
Well, this play is over. There's McDaniel. He's tied up with Heath Miller. Oh, and well, he just took Miller and threw him. You know, they were engaged. It's not like he hauled off and took a sock at him or something. I've seen that lots of times where that didn't bring out a hanky.
1st and goal for Pittsburgh at the 5. Pittsburgh has visited the red zone twice. They have 2 field goals to show for it. Mwelde Moore barely back to the line of scrimmage. Chris Clemens, Jeremiah Bell from their safety spots. And we get a timeout called on the field. It stops the clock at 2:43 to play. Gives us a chance to remind you Wednesday on Showtime. James Brown, Chris Collinsworth, Phil Simms, and Warren Sapp come your way. Cable's longest running show, the multi-award winning Inside the NFL, every Wednesday on Showtime.
Well, this has been a game where running the football effectively has been at a real premium. Pittsburgh has a grand total of 57 yards. Miami has 62. And it has really been just scratching out yard by yard has been tough.
And good use of a timeout here by the Miami Dolphins, Dan.
Yes, no question about it, because with 2:43 left, they've got to look at their next possession, which they will most certainly have. They know they're going to get a stoppage at the 2-minute warning if they're fortunate enough to keep Pittsburgh out of the end zone.
Redmond to the 2. And once again, the Dolphins will stop the clock with 2:37 to play.
And again, a good usage. I agree with this in terms of stopping the clock now. They still have one remaining. But this is Gene Steratore there telling Tony Sparano where he stands with his timeouts.
Tony not agreeing with much of anything at this point. So there's the timeout situation. The Steelers with all 3 of theirs remaining, Miami with 1, and this is Roethlisberger on 3rd down throwing the football today.
Well, this could be a throwing situation. Again, Ben with his great movement, certainly an asset in when you're up against your opponent's goal line. But here they go into the shotgun formation.
Roethlisberger, quarterback draw for the end zone, lost the football. Who's got it? It's ruled a touchdown.
The head linesman, again, Jerry Bergman, is saying...
The ruling on the field is that the runner in possession of the ball broke the plane prior to losing the ball. The ruling is a touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Well, again, this could be challenged, but let's take a look at it. Ben clearly stretched out for the goal line. This was a designed run all the way.
And if now here comes the challenge flag. Now,
yes.
If he is wrong, this will cost Tony Sparano his last time out.
Well, I don't know that he is. I don't know that he is. This ball might have come loose before Ben crosses the plane. But keep in mind, we got to see definitive proof of that. I think you can hear how the crowd is voting. When did this ball come loose from Ben Roethlisberger?
That's a fumble.
I don't think he crossed the plane.
Miami is challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
Well, this Gene Steratore is going to go under the hood. But you need definitive proof, and we may have just seen it.
Interesting call coming up by Gene Steratore. Let's take a look at what happened at the goal line.
Well, right there you can see Clemens making the contact with Ben Roethlisberger's elbow, and the football is immediately dislodged. Now there's a rush of people to cover this football. But right there's the contact on his elbow, and when you marry that with the other look, it certainly gives you the impression that the ball came loose before it crossed the goal line.
And there were Dolphins all over the football in the end zone. And Gene Steratore still giving this a good long look under the hood.
Well, it certainly looks by that look right there that Miami recovers that ball in the end zone.
Number 59, Ikaika Alama Francis.
But then again, whistles are blowing all over the place because it's the official, the linesman thought that Ben crossed the plane.
And that ball was clearly out before he reached the goal line.
Well, it certainly looks, you know, Gene Steratore has the only opinion that counts. But you can see the minute the contact comes from Chris Clemens on the elbow of Roethlisberger that Ben loses control of the football. And then when you look here, where's the contact by Clemens on his elbow? It's right there.
And that's a good half yard shy of the goal line.
Greg, I agree with you.
And Gene Steratore is still looking at it and talking it over with the folks upstairs. And He appears to just about be done. Tony Sperano threw the challenge flag. If he's wrong, he's out of timeouts.
Well, the other question for Gene Steratore is if he does rule that this is a fumble, who gets the ball?
This isn't a big decision, is it?
No, of moderate importance.
After review, it has been determined that prior to the ball crossing the goal line, the runner did lose possession of the ball. However, by rule in replay, two aspects of this play must be available to be viewed. Not only did we have to view the fumble being a fumble, we also have to have clear evidence of the team recovering the ball. After review, we do not have clear evidence of the defense recovering the football. Therefore, Pittsburgh will have the ball, 4th and goal at the half-yard line. Miami will not be charged with the timeout, and the clock will start on the ready for play.
Well explained by Gene Steratore.
And it has to be crystal clear that the recovery of the football was in fact by a Miami Dolphin. Part A, I don't think anybody can argue with that Ben lost control of the football before he broke the plane. And yes, if you're a Miami fan, you're going, well, wait a minute, there's no way that the Dolphins didn't recover that football. But you know what? That's not enough. As Gene Steratore says, they have to see definitive proof of a Miami Dolphin or a Steeler recovering that ball. And there was neither.
What it brings up is 4th and goal and a Pittsburgh field goal attempt upcoming rather than a Miami recovery in the end zone and first down for the Dolphins at their own 20.
It will be a 30-second timeout.
So Miami, did I hear correctly that Miami just used their 3rd and final timeout?
He pointed to the Dolphins. When Gene Steratore said a 30-second timeout, he certainly gave the indication that the Dolphins took it.
So the big question tomorrow morning will be who eventually fell on this football in the end zone.
Well, I'm sure there'll be multiple people that claim they did. But claiming it
and seeing it are two different things.
Exactly right. And Gene Steratore determined that under the hood that he could not definitively say who recovered this football. So the system, to a degree, worked for Miami because it overturned the touchdown, but it didn't give them everything they wanted, which was the football out at their own 20-yard line.
That loose football appears to be covered by Miami.
I know.
But you can't tell for sure. These are the Dolphins getting up.
Yeah.
Ikaika Alama Francis with the ball.
Yeah, but we've learned over the years that's not enough. That doesn't do it.
Meanwhile, this is a 19-yard field goal attempt. The Steelers looking for the lead with 2.5 minutes to play. Eighth field goal of the day. Miami has 5. That was the 3rd for Pittsburgh, and with 2:26 to play in the 4th. Pittsburgh leads it by 1, 23-22.
Well, 2 minutes, 26 seconds. Chad Henne, the way he's been throwing the football today, he's going to see some exotic blitzes coming his way. Now, the bad news is that Miami does not have any timeouts remaining. They'll have the one stoppage at the 2-minute warning. But other than that, they're going to have to hustle to cover some ground.
The good news is Mr. Carpenter's had plenty of practice kicking field goals today.
Yes, he has. And he's what, 5 for 5? He's 5 for 5. So again, it's going to be a question of how effectively can Miami move the ball without any timeouts other than the stoppage at 2 minutes.
Chad Henne on the day, 22 of 33 for 255 yards and a touchdown.
Well, you know, and for a young quarterback who's taken some grief down here, that maybe his process of becoming a big-time quarterback has been criticized here, this would be a wonderful opportunity for Mr. Henne to make his mark.
A reminder for many of you still to come, New England and San Diego out on the West Coast. For others, Oakland and Denver. Doubleheader action here on CBS. Still 2:26 to play here.
Ben has had a tough day holding on to the football. He's looked good throwing it, but his ball security has been a little less than desired.
Miami trying to win its first of the season here at home. They've lost their last 4 going back to the 09 season. Patrick Cobb, a running start at the 3. Shakes a tackler and out to about the 28 or 29 yard line.
Well, I was just talking about Ben's ball security problems today, and here they are. He's fumbled 3 different times. This time he was going to try to actually throw it there to Redmond. That was a fumble. And then again, he just got caught up in traffic, and it bounced to Marquise Pouncey, his center. And then this was the third one that just happened a moment ago as he was trying to score the go-ahead touchdown. But 3 fumbles are 3 fumbles.
So now the focus on Chad Henne. Going to give it to Ronnie Brown, and Brown for a couple across the 30 to the 31 or 32 yard line. Clock continues to move, 2:10 to play. They'll try to get one off here before the 2-minute warning.
Well, and they give it to Brown, who's gotten absolutely nothing in the running game at all today.
Henne looks one way, looks the other, throws over the middle, in and out of the hands of Fasano, the intended receiver, incomplete. 1:56 on the clock when we come back. Can the Steelers hold on? Can the Dolphins prevail? We'll find out. At a minimum, the Dolphins are looking to reach the Pittsburgh 35-yard line to give Dan Carpenter a shot at a game winner.
Well, that last pass from Henne to Fasano might have moved the chains. It would have been real close to it, and he hit Fasano right on the hands, and he couldn't handle it.
Meanwhile,
poor time to mishandle the ball.
It has begun to rain again here in Miami. 3rd and 8. Henne to this side, and Polite is cut down just across the 30-yard line by William Gay. Clock continues to move, 1:45 to play.
And that's
4th and 6.
That's asking a lot of your fullback to get much yardage on that check down.
Dolphins need a first down right here. Henne under pressure, got hit from behind as he let go. Jason whirls with the contact in the backfield.
Interception by Pittsburgh. First down, Pittsburgh.
And that will be ruled an interception on the far side of the field. Either way, Pittsburgh's getting the football.
Yeah, either way. Chad didn't see the pressure coming from behind as he tries to get out. Again, you can see Worlds being routed upfield by Vernon Carey, but then he can't believe his luck. Chad starts running his direction. The ball pops up in the air, and oh, that's not an interception. That is not an interception. That ball bounces off the ground to James Harrison. Nonetheless, it's an incomplete pass on 4th down, so a fumble, take your pick. Either way you look at it.
And the Miami Dolphins unable to stop the clock.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh's ball anyway. You slice it and dice it.
So again, the Dolphins come up short here at home. Pittsburgh will move to 5-1 on the year, and the Dolphins fall to 3-3.
Boy, and it was just, again, Miami can't win at home. How frustrating that must be. And in a game where they just they contested everything. A lot of admiration for Pittsburgh, though. They are in the very front end of a 3-game road trip that is daunting, to say the least. Here at Miami, they now go to New Orleans, then to Cincinnati, before they finally go back home to play Oakland. So you can see right there that 80% of the time, the team that does that misses the playoffs.
Pittsburgh 3-0 on the road this season.
And of course, we all know how competitive the AFC East is, where the Dolphins call home.
With that, the Steelers will leave town with a 23-22 win. Coming up next, many of you will see the Patriots and the Chargers, others the Raiders against the Broncos. The Burger King update is next. We'll take you to New York for scores and highlights after this.